Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition came back to life, and it seems it came back to life with just one mandate: rearrange leadership and kick out Junet Mohammed. Now this has been seen as a very serious stroke that has been induced by former president, the fourth president of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, na pia kuna wasi wanaiona as a move to install Honorable Kalonzo'S as the leader of the United Opposition in 2027. Now the primary question inabaki kuwa hivi: is this going to be the coalition that the United Opposition is going to use in 2027, or are they going to form their own coalition into 2027? And of course that is a very important question kwa sababu Honorable Rigathi Gachagua was not part of the Azimio la Umoja coalition in the 2022 contestation, but is currently one of the strongest backbones, of course, of the United Opposition. Now, as we bring for you this story holistically and what has happened, which seems to have now termed the political death of Honorable Junet Mohammed, first, if this is your first time interacting with our channel, please hit the subscribe button so that stories like this do not miss your attention, and also that you help us in our journey of attaining 5,000 subscriber mark. Now, let us bring this story from the top. For quite some time, the beef between Kalonzo and Junet Mohammed has existed, and this has been a silent beef. News bites dating back to about a year ago shows you that the only role or the only reason why Kalonzo was comfortable with Junet Mohammed being in his role as the Secretary General of the Azimio party ilikuwa kwa sababu Raila Amolo Odinga was the leader of that party. Now, this is not a contest between Kalonzo and Junet Mohammed, but there is a string and a connection. This is primarily a contest between Uhuru Kenyatta and Junet Mohammed. And what is the basis of it? The basis of it is this 500 million Kenyan shillings yenye ilifaa kutolewa for agents to be paid that did not reach agents. And in one side of the blame game, of course, and we have detailed it severally here at the People's Mirror and even at the Civic Lens, Junet is in one part, and on the other part, Uhuru Kenyatta is in the other part. So how did it get to the point of now letters being written to Wetangula to remove Junet Mohammed from the special seat that he holds in parliament as the minority leader of the Senate? This chain is connected to more than few years ago. Now, the decision was arrived by the Azimio party, and we will detail it, the Azimio coalition, and we will detail it shortly on how it was arrived at. But first, I just want to take you back to something that happened about a year plus ago, when Kalonzo'S was talking about the man Junet Mohammed and his position as the Secretary General, before I develop for you the story at the time that the decision was made by the Azimio party. So let's just get to it.
They lost their member of parliament over a year ago. They're still waiting for a by-election. And others. Why disenfranchise Kenyans? Because of political expedience. But as I said, I invite you. Maybe I can share with you some of my thoughts on why the delaying tactics. And if we do that, do not record me and forward to Itumbi. People are desperate, absolutely desperate. Yes, sir. Yeah, I said Mudi is one of us. He comes from my home county. Yeah, he tried to run for speakership of Kitui. He wasn't successful. I certainly wish him well. And if there's any way I can help him, but let him not be used as a proxy to delay an important national matter. Of course, that recording by Tumbi, which is a strange thing, had to do with, because Augustine Muli went to the office of Junet Mohammed, who is, of course, secretary. As we speak, the Secretary General of Azimio is Junet Mohammed. And that is the last very important thing up to date Junet has done. Because he forwarded the name of Dr. Koki Muli in accordance with what he had agreed within Azimio. So the name of Koki Muli was agreed upon following the direction of the judge who determined the matter, and gave Azimio 48 hours to forward a name. That supersedes what you are talking about, my friend. Who was it who was asking that other question? About who may have garnered what votes, whatever. That did not take into account the fact that one, the national, whatever the party is, yeah, because
now you can see, even before this money talks and even before this issue of the current positions of Junet Mohamed being altered, kulikuwa na beef fulani katikati ya Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka na Junet Mohamed on some recording that was sent to Itumbi. Now the contents of that recording might not be the basis of this particular talk, but you can trace that as far as then, and this was long ago, this was around a year ago, so this was early 2025 or in the late 2024, when the Azimio coalition was still trying to stagger its lifeline into the Kenyan political scene. Kulikuwa already na some sort of beef katikati ya Honorable Kalonzo and Junet Mohamed. Now this is what I'm saying, that whereas there was this talk of the money talk between Uhuru Kenyatta and Junet Mohamed, the person that sacrificed Junet Mohamed publicly was of course Honorable Senator Moses Otieno Kajwang. And why am I saying this? In the burial of Beryl Odinga, Moses Kajwang spoke. Alikuwa anaongea that when Raila left, give them some instructions not to antagonize, of course, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, including the fact that the deputy of Junet Mohamed was, of course, from the Wiper party. And I felt like if you look at the mannerisms and the body language of Kalonzo Musyoka, that this was an information that he might have known but had escaped his mind for some time, and until Kajwang said it, it rang a bell back in his mind. So na hizi stories za Junet kukuja kutumia do and Kalonzo now going ahead in other subsequent meetings and saying that now the leadership of the party, the leadership of a minority leader within the Senate needs to go to Wiper because of how Junet has carried out himself with the money, was so convenient because it was feeding back to an already existing beef between Kalonzo and Junet. So let's not read into it fast more. Let us first play this series of news bites before we make a general conclusion. I want you to listen to this part where Senator Kajwang is talking about Kalonzo Musyoka and the need to not antagonize Kalonzo Musyoka and what he says next, and now the prequel or what happens after that. Or this was actually the prequel. Then you listen to what happens after that on when Kalonzo now takes up rallies with this Junet story. We want to trail it up to the point where Azimio is making a decision and Junet is being kicked out, while Kalonzo is becoming the party leader, and why.
Many people have said things that Raila told them. But there's one thing Raila also told us about Kalonzo Musyoka. He told us not to scandalize, not to attack, and not to antagonize Kalonzo Musyoka. And that is why in the Senate, the deputy leader of minority in the Senate is still Senator Enoch Wambua, a member of Wiper. In the National Assembly, the deputy leader of minority is still the Honorable Mbui, a member of Wiper. Your Excellency, I hope today you will also tell us what you had planned with Raila, because inaonekana kuna kitu mlikuwa mmepanga. Sisi hatuna ubaya na wewe mheshimiwa, and perhaps we only fear some of the friends that you keep, but otherwise as a person you are not a bad person. Adwani
Now that part of the speech, if you're looking at or taking a look at the body mannerism of Kalonzo Musyoka, reminded Kalonzo Musyoka of certain missiles that he had, but he did not know he had. Of course, he knows that the minority leader within the Senate comes from the Wiper party, but the deputy minority leader within the National Assembly becoming Mbui is very close to Deputy President, former Deputy President Kalonzo Musyoka. And so when he realized that missiles was within his reach, and Junet was already antagonizing Uhuru Kenyatta, then Junet put himself facing two enemies of equal measure that was stronger than Junet Mohamed. Now let us bring this particular system of Junet now to the decision of Azimio. The decision of Azimio has been made around 2 days ago. They have changed leadership, and currently the party leader of Azimio coalition, if it still exists, is of course Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, replacing or walking into the shoes of the former party leader or the former coalition leader Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. So patron pale juu ni Uhuru Kenyatta. Party leader right now is Kalonzo Musyoka. Former was Raila Amolo Odinga. The Secretary General position that was being held by Junet Mohammed has now gone to another guy called Karoli Omondi, who comes from the Suba area and a very, very key critic of Ruto's government. Now, this particular structural arrangements within the Azimio might not make sense. Unaweza jiuliza mbona Azimio are going an extra mile of putting structures in place, yet they are a coalition that do not exist anymore. Or maybe some of you do not even know Azimio. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition was the coalition that was going against Kenya Kwanza in the 2022 elections, and Kenya Kwanza won. So these guys wamekuwa silent for some time, but their key principles are still being bound by this particular document that they signed. Na hapo ndani kuna Kalonzo, kuna Eugene, kuna of course Martha, kuna Uhuru Kenyatta. You could say that the huge chunk of the united opposition are still part and parcel of the Azimio team. Kitu tu imefanya they do not use the Azimio name right now or are not going under the Azimio ticket is because Rigathi Gachagua has entered, and this DCP is one of the strongest party of the united opposition currently. But Azimio is still intact kwa sababu hawaja do away with that particular coalition. Now, outside the coalition right now and was key individuals within the coalition ni Junet Mohammed and Honorable Tuju. Now, you might say that that was a very structural way of organizing the Azimio coalition, if they are a coalition moving into 2027 or not, but primarily it was a political masterstroke that was actually choreographed and served by President Uhuru Kenyatta to silence Junet Mohammed. And why would President Uhuru Kenyatta even go an extra mile to do that in a bid of silencing Junet Mohammed? Listen to this part on what Junet Mohammed said when he was asked this particular question with Jeff Koinange that now put him on the wrong radar of President Uhuru Kenyatta from the very beginning.
He told me, I want you to be a leader in parliament. I told him, I'm grateful, Baba. That is the faith and the confidence he had in me even after the election. Yeah.
There's talk about 500 million shillings that was supposed to be paid to agents.
Yeah.
And that money disappeared in the wind. What happened?
Jeff, I have given a very thorough communication on that matter. It's still posted on my social media accounts. I have said where the money is. I have said how the money was supposed to be paid through Safaricom by the click of a button of a computer by a man called Patrick Mburu. All those people are still alive. No one has responded to me. I am willing even to share with them a bench so that we can remind each other how things were to be done. So, so they should respond. They are alive. They are not dead.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about people who have died. The money of the agent was with the people I have mentioned in my statement.
So why is there controversy about the fact that there's some people in your ODM party who say you ate the money?
Yeah, you see, politicals, settling political scores. People who are unhappy from the while ago, my relationship and my closeness with Baba. Now that he's not there, they have an opportunity now to say anything they want to say. So we give it to them. Yeah, I even saw this conman called Malala yesterday, sorry to say that, who was saying that I used to meet the president before the elections and gave him the agents and such kind of nonsense. Somebody just asked him a question. If we sold the agents to him, why didn't he win his election in Kakamega as a governor if he had the agents? So now it's a time of madness. Look at what the former impeached deputy president says. We have sold the ODM. That is a man who 2 years ago was in office fighting ODM everywhere, killing people in the demonstrations using police, summoning police people, officers to do nasty things, and now he's a Democrat today. He's a defender of human rights. He's a defender of the rights of the people. It only happens in Kenya. Yeah.
Who ate the money?
The money was supposed to be paid by that Mburu guy and more Kenyans. They are there. I don't know whether they paid, whether they did not pay. I didn't know.
But your role, what was your role?
My role was to organize campaigns in the field. And I have been in every village, I've told you, with Raila. That was my role, and I did perfectly. We were to make sure we have proper campaign machinery on the ground. You see? And I'm one of the speakers again in every campaign place. Yeah, so When do I have time to sit in an office and concoct a list of agents? I don't know what.
Okay, so
we woke up one morning and we were told there are problems here and there, what, that kind of things. I don't know.
Okay, so who lost Raila the election?
Raila, first, the election, you remember, up to today, up to his death, we were saying the servers will be opened. You remember?
Yeah.
And the people who normally make people presidents in Kenya did not want to make Raila president. That's what I believe myself, without mentioning who is who. Yeah. The people who made others president in 2007, 2013, 2017 did not want to make Raila president.
Who are those?
If they wanted,
who are those people?
You know them, but
I don't know them.
You know them. You know them, Majeba.
Come on.
You are old. You are not a young man.
I'm old.
You are old. You know. You know the people who make people presidents. You who made people president in 2007.
So you're saying they didn't want Raila to be president?
They didn't want Raila to become.
Why?
I think they were not very comfortable with him, maybe, or something, and they were camouflaging as that they're supporting him. Yeah.
What do you tell people who say that you are an ODM or UDA mole in ODM?
No,
what do you tell them?
This issue of mole started after this broad-based government. These new relationships. Yeah. People don't want those relationships. So anybody who's opposed to that relationship will tell you that, oh, these are UDA sympathizers. They want to sell the party to UDA. All kind of nonsense. So we have no apologies to pay. In politics, you can say anything you want. You can call me a mole, a thief, a broker. That's your choice. Us, we know where we want to go. We will focus on what is good for our people, for our supporters, for the ODM people. That's what we're focusing on.
Are you a mole?
How do I become a mole in my own party, in which I am a senior official? And I have responsibilities to make sure that this party succeeds.
Who was in charge of the agents?
I'm told you're Mo's cousin. Maybe that's why you're repeating the question many times. I've told you. I've told you, man. Yeah, it looks like you're defending.
I am not defending.
You're doing on ground.
I know. Yeah. I want to know who was in charge of the agents and where did the 500 million shillings go?
The 500 million shillings is in that computer with Patrick Mburu.
Now, that back and forth conversation between Jeff Koinange and Junet Mohammed happened about a few weeks ago, and it was the basis of this entire conversation. And when Junet just mentioned Muhoho, people felt like Junet now came very close to attacking Uhuru Kenyatta, the fourth president, for not releasing the very funds that he promised to have released. Now, people close to Uhuru Kenyatta have shied away from this talk. Watu kama Jeremiah Kioni wamekuwa kisema that is the story of Junet and so on, but Muhoho and President Uhuru Kenyatta hawajai bonga kuhusu hii story. Now what they did is that President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is the patron of Azimio party, aliita meeting akareshuffle the leadership of the Azimio party, na the person mwenye alikulwa kalamu aende home ilikuwa Tuju, na huyo jamaa Tuju alijitoa, but Junet Mohammed alitolewa kwa hiyo position yenye amekuwa kihold all along. So wasi wamekuwa kicheki kama rada ya Uhuru Kenyatta kumove in a very smooth way of not actually antagonizing the political scene as it is, but is also trying to show that he is the power docket. Now from Junet's part anasema wase wanaondanga wase wa kwe prezo Kenya wako wanataka Raila kwe prezo, and in Twitter wase wanasema if Uhuru Kenyatta actually wanted Rao kukwe prezo in 2022 he would have done it, but he didn't do it. And so the statements of Junet are now to be viewed against the statements of Uhuru Kenyatta, but it seems that the statements of Junet have cost him his political career. Why? Raila yuko, and in the ODM party Junet is antagonizing Sifuna, which means his voter base is divided between wase wana support the older part of the ODM party and the Sifuna guys within his own backyard. Akirudi home bila baba is going to find a divided backyard. Now in a divided backyard, he doesn't know whether he's going to win that particular backyard. So the goodwill of the party also depends on who is going to be the overall party leader. This guy is wanaita in DC. Inamaanisha the younger version of the ODM party can take control of the ODM party, or maybe the older version of the ODM party can still have control. Now there also Junet's future hangs in a balance. Ukikuja kwa the minority seat yenye na hold kwa National Assembly, this is the talk. 2022 there were only 2 contestants, Kenya Kwanza na Azimio. So ukiserve within the parliament as a minority leader, you are serving in the behest of the Azimio coalition, like wewe ni minority juu ya Azimio. And so when you are kicked out from the secretary general position of the Azimio coalition, inamaanisha Azimio tena ku recognize in its party structures. The next thing is letters are being sent to Weta, and Wetangula has to do according to what is right within the parliamentary doctrines. If this guy is no longer part and parcel of the coalition that made him or brought him to that particular position of privilege, then atoke. Then the second person steps in, and who is the vice in that particular position? Mbui, who is a close guy to Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka. So this move ya kuanza kuhave Kalonzo Musyoka replace Baba being choreographed by Uhuru Kenyatta is being seen as a move to give Kalonzo not only political influence in the streets but also political influence within the house. Na pale Senate, Kalonzo's party, the Wiper party, is the one holding the minority. Ukikuja kwa National Assembly, it was the ODM party, but now with the structures failing within the ODM party, Junet might as well lose that particular position. Now for the united opposition, they are so disparate for the unity. Right now, the cost of coming out of the united opposition outweighs the cost of staying within. And so they have to stay together and agree within these terms. If Uhuru Kenyatta wants Junet out, it can be properly made quickly for Junet to see the door. Now, this will feed into Sifuna's influence within the ODM party, reduce Junet's influence. It will also weaken ODM older party structures because Junet has been a very, very key guy within the ODM structure. So it has a very extensive threat, this particular move and decision to kick Junet out. It will weaken Junet, it will weaken the ODM party negotiating power, it will weaken ODM within the National Assembly, it will bring Wiper to the limelight. Here at the People's Mirror, we just keep our mirrors focused on this particular decision to see what else come out of it between now and 2027, of course, when the major decisions will be made. But as it stands, it's a decision that has scratched Junet Mohammed political career and might actually have Junet Mohammed going home post 2027, but he's also a politician that has created a name for himself. So let's see how he navigates between now and then. Keep it here at the People's Mirror until our next episode.